What if the most influential person in your office isn't the loudest voice but the calmest presence? What if you could walk into a meeting and, without raising your volume, people lean in, match your pace, and say, "Let's do it your way"? Before we begin, tell me in the comments, what's the biggest challenge you face when you try to influence people at work? Let me tell you a story. This is about Sarah. Real person, real situation. She's a product manager at a mid-sized tech company. Smart, reliable, and if we're honest, a little invisible. Monday mornings, she'd slide into the conference room, laptop humming, coffee lukewarm, and a knot hiding somewhere behind her ribs. The senior voices would go first. Sharp opinions ricocheted from wall to wall. She had ideas, solid, well-researched ideas. But when she spoke, the meeting seemed to speed up just enough to sprint past her. If you've ever felt unheard, you know the symptoms. You repeat yourself, you explain more, then more again. You leave the room thinking, "I should have said it differently." That was Sarah. Until one week after a small disaster, she discovered a technique so subtle her team didn't notice the method. They only noticed they were saying yes. Quarterly planning day. High stakes. Engineering is overloaded. Marketing wants a splash. Finance says, cut. Sarah presents a clean roadmap. Fewer features. Polish the core. Stabilize churn. She starts well. Simple slides, clear numbers, a calm voice. Then, the turbulence hits. Looks safe but slow. Tom, the VP says, fingers drumming. "We need momentum," Jenna from marketing adds, pen tapping like a metronome. A chorus follows. "Can we just add this? What if we also..." Let's pivot. Sarah tries to hold ground by explaining. She answers each objection in their language. She talks faster to keep up. She loses the room. And she makes 3 mistakes that most people make without realizing it. First, she pushes facts into a closed frame, arguing solutions before everyone agrees on the same problem. Without a shared problem, her data feels like friction. Second, she defends instead of directing, meeting every objection on the other person's turf rather than shaping the frame and pace. Third, she competes for airtime instead of control time, speaking more words, losing more influence. Volume doesn't equal power. She leaves with a diluted plan and a heavier heart. That evening, she vents to a mentor. The kitchen is quiet. Mug of tea, soft lamplight, the sound of rain like static on the window. He listens, nodding, and says, "You don't need to be louder. You need quiet power." She frowns. "What does that even mean?" "It's influence without resistance," he says. "You create pull, not push. You set the tide, not the storm. People move with you because it feels safer, clearer, and oddly, theirs." He lays out what becomes her turning point, a blend of tactical empathy, soft authority, and precise language. It's part social psychology, part negotiation pacing, part state setting. It's the art of shaping decisions so others feel ownership while you keep the direction. Quiet power. "Okay," Sarah says. "What do I actually do?" 4 moves, he says. Practice them before your next meeting. They work best in your voice at your pace. First, set the state before the stakes. Lower defensiveness, raise curiosity, breathe slower than the room. Speak about 10% slower than your default. Open with loss-neutralizing empathy and a no-oriented question that gives people the safety of saying no. Sarah writes the line down and practices it out loud 4 times, softening her tone like late-night radio. The sentence she will use the very next day. You've probably got a dozen priorities competing for air. Would it be a bad idea if we first make sure we're solving the same core problem before we choose features? People love the safety of no. It feels like control. Just by asking it, she earns permission to lead the frame. Second, name the shared threat and offer the small win. Align the room on one specific, measurable problem and give them something easy to accept early. Her line, right now churn is at 3.1% monthly. If it holds, we'll lose the equivalent of 1 full product line's revenue this year. The smallest lever with the biggest impact is activation. If we raise first week success from 42% to 55%, churn drops by roughly 1/3. Does anyone see it differently? Notice the architecture. Threat, lever, invite dissent. That open invitation builds commitment and consistency later, because people rarely fight a frame they helped confirm. Third, calibrate with how questions instead of explanations. Move the room to solve it your way in their own words. How do we de-risk a focused plan that protects activation first without stalling momentum? Then silence. Let the room think. When ideas surface, some of them the ideas you already planned, you label and reinforce. Sounds like keeping 2 marketing experiments alive would maintain momentum while engineering stabilizes the core. That preserves your launch energy, Jenna, and it protects activation. And fourth, close with one quiet sentence that captures voluntary commitment with a soft directive that feels like their idea. Let's test this for 2 weeks. If it doesn't beat churn by even a fraction, we drop it. It's a safe, reversible test. It's time-boxed. It creates reciprocity and scarcity. It carries authority without ego. It's the kind of sentence people nod to without feeling pushed. She practices all 4 moves, but she knows there's one more barrier: Tom. He talks fast, he reframes, he sells speed. She needs to slow him without shutting him down, so she plans 3 micro moves. Label his value early. Tom, your speed radar saves us from analysis paralysis. Give him a leader role inside her plan. Could you own the 2 experiments that keep momentum? And use the mirrored summary to slow him. Fast, visible wins while we stabilize. Did I capture it? If he feels seen, he will slow. If he slows, the room will breathe with her. 2 days later, she walks back into that office. There's a faint buzz of fluorescent lights, the scrape of chairs, the click of trackpads. She sets her notebook down and does the smallest reset. 1 longer exhale. The room doesn't notice, but her nervous system does. Would it be a bad idea? She begins, tone like a calm lane on a busy highway. If we check alignment on the core problem for 90 seconds before choosing features? Tom squints. Go. Churn at 3.1% threatens year-end growth. The smallest lever is first week success. If we raise 42% to 55%, churn likely drops by roughly 1/3. Does anyone see it differently? Jenna taps her pen once, then stops. No, that tracks. How do we keep buzz? How do we protect activation and keep momentum? Sarah mirrors the words, slow enough to make thinking feel safe. Tom leans forward. 2 quick experiments, landing page headline test and a pricing page clarity tweak. Visible, fast. It sounds like, Sarah labels, we keep momentum alive while engineering stabilizes activation. She turns to engineering. One stabilization sprint focused on first-week tasks, onboarding friction, first-use success path, marketing, keep 2 experiments alive. We measure churn delta next Friday and... Hold on, a new voice cuts in. It's Priya from finance, arms crossed but eyes curious. What's the downside risk? If we shift engineering time and the experiments flop, we've lost 2 weeks. Sarah turns her shoulders slightly toward Priya, softening everything by 5%. You're protecting opportunity cost. How would we de-risk this without losing momentum? She lets the question hang. Priya glances at her notebook. Set a hard cap. If we don't see even a small lift in activation proxy metrics by midweek, onboarding completion rate or time to value, we stop. And we run the experiments only if they require less than a day of engineering support. So, Sarah sums in a mirrored cadence. Hard midweek checkpoint. Experiments capped at 1 engineering day total. Did I get that right? Priya nods. Yes. Tom taps the table. Once, not the impatient staccato, just once. Fair. Then, Sarah says, and here it is. The quiet sentence placed like a soft anchor. Let's test this for 2 weeks. If it doesn't beat churn by even a fraction, we drop it. Silence. Then 3 nods. Then motion. The decision doesn't slam through. It glides. Work begins. Engineering closes 2 friction loops inside the first-use path. Marketing runs the headline test and the clarity tweak. Tom posts a quick update in the team channel, calling out fast wins without chaos. The words matter. They become the story people tell themselves while they work. 2 weeks later, first week success moves from 42% to 51%. Churn dips from 3.1% to 2.6%. Not a miracle, momentum. The room credits Tom for speed, Jenna for buzz, engineering for stability. And Sarah? She becomes the center of gravity, the person people want in the room before they decide. Here's why this works. People resist force. They relax into structure. Quiet power creates a path that feels like their idea, at their pace, toward your outcome. There's no trick, just conditions that tilt decisions. Empathy that lowers threat, clarity that simplifies choice, small commitments that grow into bigger ones, and a reversible test that reduces fear. When you combine those with calm pacing, people start to match you without noticing. The meeting stops feeling like a tug of war and starts feeling like a guided walk. Let's make this practical. If you want to use quiet power this week, there are 4 moves to practice in your own voice. 1. Set the state before the stakes. Try this line. You've probably got a dozen priorities competing for air. Would it be a bad idea if we align on the core problem first? 2. Name the shared threat and offer the small win. Right now the risk is X, and the smallest lever with the biggest impact is Y. Does anyone see it differently? 3. Calibrate with how and what. Instead of explaining, how do we protect Y without losing Z? And 4. Close with the quiet sentence. Let's test this for 2 weeks. If it doesn't move the metric even a little, we drop it. If 2 weeks is too long, compress it. Let's try this for 3 days. Same structure, same logic. You might be thinking, what if someone hijacks the frame? Good. Plan for it. A fast talker wants momentum. Give them a role inside your plan. Could you own the two experiments that keep momentum? A risk-focused partner wants safety. Give them a checkpoint and an off-ramp. What would make this safe enough to try for 5 days? An executive wants clarity. Give them a number and a clock. This is a one-sprint test. If it doesn't move onboarding completion by a single %, we stop. And if you're worried your voice doesn't carry, let the silence carry it. Ask the calibrated question, then shut up. Count 1, 2, 3 in your head. The silence turns a room of talkers into a room of thinkers. That 3-second pause is often the difference between arguing and aligning. There's one more piece. Your inner state. People can feel when you're trying to win versus trying to help the group decide. Quiet power is service dressed as leadership. Before the meeting, try this 60-second reset. Exhale longer than you inhale, 4 times. Picture the room already agreeing on the problem. Picture yourself speaking a little slower than you want to. Picture them nodding when you say, "Let's test it." You're priming your nervous system to send a message. It's safe to agree. Let's revisit Sarah's final conversation, because the details are where your next win is hiding. Would it be a bad idea if we check alignment on the core problem for 90 seconds before choosing features? Go. Churn at 3.1% threatens growth. The smallest lever is first week success. Raise 42% to 55%. Churn likely drops by a third. Does anyone see it differently? No, that tracks. How do we keep buzz? How do we protect activation and keep momentum? 2 quick experiments, visible and fast. So we keep momentum alive while engineering stabilizes activation. 1 stabilization sprint for first week tasks. 2 marketing experiments. We measure churn delta next Friday. Mid-week checkpoint. Experiment cap at 1 engineering day. If it doesn't budge, we cut and pivot. Fair. Let's test this for 2 weeks. If it doesn't beat churn by even a fraction, we drop it. That's it. 6 minutes. The right 6 minutes. What can you apply today? Start your next meeting with the no invite. Would it be a bad idea if we align on the problem first? Anchor 1 small win. The smallest lever with the biggest impact is X. Use a how question to recruit their brain. How do we de-risk this while keeping Y? And close softly, time-boxed. Let's test this for 2 weeks. If it doesn't move Z, we drop it. 2 simple actions for this week. 1. Write your quiet sentence for an upcoming decision. Fill the blanks. Let's test specific action for short time. If it doesn't improve metric by even a fraction, we drop it. Read it out loud until it sounds like you. 2. Open your next meeting with the no invite. You'll feel the room exhale. You'll feel yourself take control time without fighting for airtime. If you want a quick story from someone who tried this, meet Luis. He manages a support team, high volume, constant fire drills. He started his morning stand-up with, "Would it be a bad idea if we align on the real bottleneck before we grab tickets?" He named the shared threat, SLA breaches, and the small win, cutting first response variance. Then he asked, "How do we protect response time without burning out the queue?" The team suggested rotating a 2-person triage desk. His close. Let's test it for 1 week. If average response doesn't improve by even a minute, we drop it. 5 days later, they shaved 90 seconds off the average and kept the change. That's quiet power at a smaller scale. Same physics. You don't need a megaphone, you need a method. Most people try to win by speaking more. Sarah tried that too, until she learned the calm alternative. Slow the room by 10%, give people a safe no. Name one clear threat and one small win. Move their brains with how, and close with a reversible test. Do this consistently and something interesting happens. People will start to look for your eyes before they speak. They'll mirror your pace. They'll say, "Before we decide, let's hear your take." That's when you'll know quiet power is working. The next time you face that conversation, you'll be ready. And if this helped, share your biggest challenge in the comments and subscribe for new workplace persuasion tactics every week.